It's a sad day in Vancouver, my friends. Before we dive into this Vancouver Canucks trade targets video, I wanted to give some love. I wanted to give a big shout out. I wanted to give a big thank you to Jim Robson, one of the most legendary voices of this city, of this area, of British Columbia, of sports in general in this town. A guy whose presence, whose gentlemanliness, a guy whose warm welcomes and whose commentating was unmatched in the sport. Jim Robson passed away earlier today at 91, and all the love is coming in as it should be. The guy was the voice of the Vancouver Canucks for generations. Add to this the 94 Cup run, various moments sprinkled throughout Canucks history. Jim Robson was the voice of so many iconic moments, and he was a pretty good dude too. Vancouver loves you, Jim. We'll never forget you. Rest in peace. If you have anything to share, any Jim Robson stories, or just what you felt about this guy and the news today, please let me know in the comment section below. We're all Canucks fans at the end of the day, right? So we all have probably similar feelings to Robson and even some of the other broadcasters that came after him, the Hudsons, the Shorthouses, the John Garretts of the world. It's a good day to pay tribute to and acknowledge the ones that voice the sport that we love. But with that said, let's shift gears over to the Vancouver Canucks and what exactly their trade situation can look like. This was an article posted by Thomas Drance and Harmondale earlier yesterday on The Athletic. Vancouver Canucks trade targets. 10 reclamation projects that fit for a rebuilding team. Now, here's the thing. The Athletic is behind a paywall, so we're not going to go out there and screenshot the article itself. It'll be linked in the description if you want to go out there and read it, but you need The Athletic, so you kind of need to make sure you've got that. But I wanted to talk about two of the names, but I wanted to talk about the primary name that was put across the title and the thumbnail of this piece. Okay, maybe not the title, but it's on the thumbnail right there. You can see him. It's big bad number 13 out of the New York Rangers, Alexis Lafreniere. Yeah, that's right. JT Miller from Vancouver to New York, Filip Chytil, Victor Mancini. That was a big trade, right? Could we see Alexis Lafreniere reviving the trade talks between Vancouver and New York, coast to coast, from the West Coast over to the East over there? Yeah, the JT Miller trade. One of the worst trades Vancouver has ever made, according to Jeff Marek. One of the worst trades the Rangers have ever made. So could these two teams double dip for a trade involving a former first overall pick? Now, to help us out, I wanted to head over to this article on CanucksDaily.com. Edward Jackson wrote about how Alexis Lafreniere is named as a trade target for the Vancouver Canucks. I like this article because it has the quote from the Thomas Drance and Harmondale Athletic piece. That's the only reason why we're using it here. But this piece talks about how Vancouver has declared their intentions to rebuild, starting out by trading off some of their pending UFAs and veteran players leading up to the deadline on March 6th. This is a necessary step for a franchise after missing the playoffs, including this year 5 times in the last 6 seasons, and who have only won 3 rounds since reaching the finals back in 2011. Technically 2 rounds if you exclude the play-in series against Minnesota in 2020. Amidst the rebuild, the Canucks are going to need to find pieces they believe can slot into their lineup, whether it be temporary or players they believe could be around for the long haul, up until and including when the team is competitive once again. In a recent article for The Athletic highlighting potential reclamation projects for the Vancouver Canucks to consider, Thomas Drance and Harmondale mentioned 2020 first overall pick Alexis Lafreniere as a potential target for the club and someone that's been linked to the Lower Mainland on occasion over the last couple of years. If Lafreniere were to shake loose, however, he'd still be worth gambling on, even for a team like the Canucks that has a load of road to run to get back to contention. What an interesting sentence. That has a load of road to run to get back to contention. Kind of sounding like Slim Shady there, Dale and Drance. While Lafreniere's skating has held him back somewhat, he has typically managed better underlying performance than his results would suggest. This season, for example, Lafreniere's 5-on-5 goal scoring has taken a major hit due to a career-low shooting percentage, even as his defensive impact has spiked, which is generally the sort of profile you want to bet on. Dransendale said about Lafreniere's potential fit with the Vancouver Canucks. And here's the thing that I wanted to dive into in regards to Lafreniere. The fact that he is not really all too quick on his feet was always a bigger issue with him and his prospect development back in 2020 when he was drafted first overall, and back when he had this insane level of hype. He was over 2 points a game for Rimouski, and he was at 2 points per game for Team Canada at the World Juniors as an 18-year-old. Lafreniere back in this time frame was already somebody that we were labeling as a franchise potential altering talent, an 80-90 point guy, despite the fact that we knew that his foot speed wasn't really at the same level of the Jack Hugheses or the Rasmus Dahlins or the Connor McDavids of the world. The idea was Lafreniere's smarts and skills were so above and beyond everybody else's that he didn't really need to be the craziest skater or the most active guy on the boards or playing with the most pace possible out of a winger. This was a guy whom, even when you watched him play in the queue, he wasn't really going out there and burning the Jets every single shift. He was patient. He was waiting with the puck. He would hold on to it. He'd quickly get by a guy, get into the open space, and then just wait. Wait for a guy to be open in front, then he'd pass it, and then it'd be a goal. He was so good at slowing the game down, and I think fans and scouts back in this time frame were saying, yeah, the way this guy analyzes the game is so elite, and that is going to be the biggest separating factor between him and everybody else in 2020's NHL Draft, and it's going to be what propels Lafreniere to being a consistent player with the Rangers for years to come. Now, consistent, sure, you can say he's been a 30-plus guy every year, but you're not drafted first overall to be a 30-plus point guy every year. You're drafted there because they think you can be an ultimate game changer, and Lafreniere has not been that. Now, I'm not saying that this is all for naught, and so Vancouver shouldn't really go out there and try to get him. I'm saying that for New York, because it's already been an issue with the Rangers that they have been bubble wrapping their prospects, that a lot of their guys aren't really allowed to speak to the media, and you have folks like, for example, Scott Wheeler going out there and proposing that this level of over-intensive care has somewhat hurt some of these prospects. I do wonder if a guy like Alexis Lafreniere getting sent over to a team like Vancouver could be the change of scenery or could be the refresher that he needs to get his NHL career back on track. I don't know. Is he a guy with the smarts that he has that's needed to play alongside a VP40? I'm not sure. So with all that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the idea of Alexis Lafreniere being a reclamation project? If the Rangers are interested in trading away their forwards, and if Lafreniere is available, it does seem like he's the kind of guy that Vancouver would be interested in. They've been linked to him forever, especially with Emily Castonguay. He's only 24 years old, so he fits the age range that Rutherford and Alvin are supposedly targeting. But with that said, he's the poster boy of this article over here. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Alexis Lafreniere for Vancouver, yay or nay? What is the trade price? How appropriate is a trade like this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.